Hello, and welcome to episode 240 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm amazed we made it through that.
It was a struggle. So this week we're gonna talk the mechanics of Wilds of Eldraine, and we should also probably introduce the other guy. Who's the other guy?
I'm James.
There we go.
Yeah.
He's amazed. He's amazed. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the mechanics for Wilds of Eldraine, all the stuff going on. Hopefully it shouldn't be super long. I'm sleepy. I woke up at 5:30 today.
Yeah, you had a long day baby wrangling, so we'll keep it a little short. I don't think this is going to take us too long, but before a set release, we like to go through the mechanics of the set so that we don't have to do it when we're doing our set review. That makes for a really long episode. Last couple times we've done this, we've broken this out this way, and it seems to really help. Lets us kind of dive into the mechanics a little bit, and also we don't have to go over it all during our set review.
So if you want to, we're back into like the world of stuff going on more frequently in Magic. But if you have show ideas, you want to reach out and say, hey, anything like that, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Discord. You can find us via email, and you can find us again on Elon Forever.
X.
All those links are in the description. You know, I just thought of.
What's that?
Have I updated the show notes to not be Twitter or the credits?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Nope. Still says Twitter. We're still holding on.
I have a feeling at this point, at least, everybody that is on the platform recognizes either name.
Yes. Have you? Quick sidetrack. You get all those emails that are I get like Twitter updates, and they all say X parenthesis formerly Twitter.
Formerly Twitter.
Just like, yeah, you did a great job with this branding gig. If you have to be like, remember who we actually are?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to reach out to us in any of those places, yes. if you want to reach out to us in any of those places, even to talk about Prince, you can find all the links in the description.
Yeah, hit us up. Like Brian said, if there's ideas for shows or whatever, I have kind of a living document that I keep in our Google Drive here with show ideas. So even if we're not looking for show ideas at that exact time, if you got an idea for an episode, I will throw it in there, and eventually we will most likely get around to it. But yeah, I actually had somebody shot me a show idea. I don't remember if it was this past week or the week before, but I had to update the document and add it to it. And I also put a thing in there for our place in line for the color pie that we're working on. And I didn't realize that I never updated that for our Back in My Day series either. So there's updates in there, so we have a quick reference and know exactly where we are if we want to do a spur of the moment Back in My Day episode.
Good. On Origins. We might. Oh, we're on Origins?
Yep. Origins is next.
Okay, wow. It feels like we missed something, but we probably did not. You're keeping track.
The last one we did was Dragons. Origins is next, right?
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Weird. Yeah. Wild. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The first doesn't cost you guys a dime and would really help us out. It's our TCG player affiliate link. CasualTryHard.com/TCG. You can follow that link on over to TCG Player, and anything you purchase after that will help to support the show. We'll get a percentage of your final price, whatever your bill is, and helps us out. Like I said, doesn't cost you guys a dime. TCG Player has pretty good prices, fast shipping. That's where I typically order from. I know you order from there a lot also. So it's kind of a no-brainer. You get to help us out and get cheap stuff quick if there's singles you like. I know there was some talk in Discord this past week since our last show about speccing on some adventures stuff. We mentioned it in the pre-show and in the show last week. Adventures are back. They were really good last time. There's some bangers this time. So if you're looking to pick up any adventure stuff, maybe some Lucky Clovers or Edgewall Innkeepers, doesn't have to be a lot. Every little bit helps. Buy them on TCG Player. We'll get a cut. If you want to support us more directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. You can chip a couple bucks in. There's tiers there. They don't mean a whole lot. They're just there to be there, so you have something to click on. But you can pledge any amount you want to, whatever you think we're worth to you, whatever the value of the enjoyment that you get out of the show is. Patrons get access to our show notes, so you get kind of a sneak peek about what the episode for the week's going to be about. Patrons also get access to our pre-show. Put that out the day before the show goes live, and it's just us old farts making sure our equipment hasn't broke and kind of catching up on life. And occasionally we talk about Magic some, but completely unscripted, just whatever. Our patrons really seem to like it. So if you want to hear more from us, that's a way that you can get more of us. Also, our patrons get put on my mailing list, so when I have some cool swag to send out, I can send it out to the patrons. Right now I'm taking submissions for the next round of givebacks. I've got a pretty good list going, but if anybody has any tokens that they use a lot, that they'd like to have some cool tokens, cool frames. I don't know what I'm going to do for artwork yet. Last time I did AI generated art that came out pretty decent. Maybe I'll do that again. But if you got any ideas for that, hit me up. All the links down below are ways you can do that.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Sign up. Help us out. Show us you love us.
Please, please, please. All right. Mechanics.
Mechanicals.
Mechanicals.
Yep.
So you say mechanicals, and those are the little robots that help Gecko in Gecko's garage. That's what happens when you have a kid.
You know what Gecko's garage is?
You know what Gecko's garage is, and you know that his friends are the mechanicals.
Yeah.
The first mechanic is not really a mechanic.
It was in the mechanics article, and I think
this is true.
We mentioned it a couple times, but we didn't really dive into it. So now is as good a spot as any to talk about it.
Welcome to the world of booster fun.
Yep.
And enchanting tales.
Ooh, what are enchanting tales?
So these are kind of like the mystical archives or the retro artifact slot in recent sets, I guess Strixhaven and
Brothers War,
respectively. But these are enchantments. So they are enchantments from all across Magic's history that have special art treatment, kind of in maybe you could say like a storybook art style, and they will be one per pack.
Special frame too.
Special frame, but they are one per pack.
Yep. So every pack's going to get one. It's a special slot in the pack. They are in regular draft boosters as well as set boosters and collector boosters.
Yes.
So every pack.
Every single pack gets them, and they are of wildly different power levels.
Oh yeah.
And as many people have complained, may really, really like swing limited.
Oh, well, I mean, they have every time they've shown up, right? They swung limited games in Strixhaven. They have cost me many, many limited games in Brothers War.
Yes.
So I would imagine it's going to be no different this time around. So this printing does not change format legality. So if there's a card that's like Doubling Season is legal in Modern, just because it's in this set doesn't mean it's going to be legal in Standard. This is treated as a separate set, or like a bonus set, I guess. So they will not be Standard legal if they're not already Standard legal. They won't magically jump from Legacy to Modern.
Yeah.
But like I said, they are, or like you said, I guess, they are legal for limited. So if you open one in your pack, you can draft it and put it in your limited deck. Sealed or draft. That means if you open a Necropotence, you are black.
Yes, congratulations.
Yep.
Also, if you open a Grave Pact, you're probably black.
True.
if you open a grave pack and a sneak attack, you got yourself a combination.
That's right.
Um,
Congratulations, you just went 3-0.
yes. Um, yeah, like uh, there are some. I think there are more that are duds here than in Brothers War for sure.
Okay.
I mean, Omniscience, you like legitimately probably can't cast.
Right.
Blood Moon probably doesn't do anything.
True.
Um, I guess Ristic Study is good.
Mhm.
Greater Oromancy probably doesn't do a whole lot. Prismatic Omen. Uh, I don't know how good Sneak Attack is in limited.
Yeah, probably not fantastic.
Um, so yeah, I think there are like there's a bunch of the ley lines.
Yeah.
Right, like the white ley line. You're not gonna do that with um
Greater
Mana
Oromancy
Flare.
probably doesn't do a whole lot in limited.
Yeah, Mana Flare.
Yeah.
Probably not. Like Fiery Emancipation wasn't playable in like its limited format that wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
So like I feel like there are more like
Land tax is
eh.
pretty nuts though.
Yes. Land taxes. Just go through your deck, like
Yeah.
remove all the lands over the course of like 3 turns.
Yeah. Smothering Tithe, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like where in Brothers War it was like, okay, what is my like special slot, and I'm
Mhm.
going to build my deck from that.
Yeah.
A lot of times, these are a little bit more like niche,
Yeah.
like Griffin Arrowy.
Yeah.
Like there's not a life gain support in this set, so like that card's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Or like
Um,
Spreading Seas probably doesn't do much.
Spreading Seas is banned in Historic.
It is.
Yeah, can't can't let people be islanded.
Bitter Blossom's probably pretty good though.
Yeah, Better Blossom is probably good. So I mean, there are some that are good, but I think there are more misses in this than there were in the previous set.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so too.
Um, just more that you're like, you know what, this is fine. I'm not going to like uh lose to like 75% of the ones in the set.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only 25% that are like, oh, I'm going to get dumpstered by this.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so the I guess upside for the players is these have made a lot of these cards in the past really cheap.
Mhm.
Um, and I was talking to a new store owner
Mhm.
locally a few weeks ago, and he was like, there's all this value in Commander Masters, and then they're immediately like, hey, all the most valuable cards, we're reprinting them in a standard set.
Yeah.
Right, because it had like doubling season and a lot of like a lot of like high value enchantments.
Yeah.
And then they were like, whoopsie, we're just gonna print them in the very next set.
Yeah.
So like yeah, you lose a lot of your value. It's like, yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to get out of having so many magic cards.
Yep. Sitting on
Um
a dwindling pile of money.
yes, it is slowly getting smaller
Yeah.
or fast or quickly.
Yeah.
Fastly, gosh. All
Fastly.
right. So there are those. Cool for collections. Like they have the regular version and there's an anime version. Because I don't know where the anime.
Not all of them, I don't think. Some of them do, but I don't think all of them do. Unless they
Yeah,
just
like
haven't all been spoiled yet.
yeah, there's only a handful that have been spoiled.
Okay.
I guess I don't know where to get the anime versions. Something we
Collector
have talked
boosters,
about
probably.
before. Probably.
Because so when they did the Mystical Archive, the Japanese versions with the different frame and the different art were
Mhm.
only in collector boosters.
Gotcha.
But I don't know how many of our listeners were around for Mystical Archives, but like we mentioned a little while ago, I don't think a lot of people underestimated the value hit that these cards took, or like just how many get put in out there through like when there's one in every pack.
I bought a ton of like the Dark
Yeah,
Rituals and the Duresses, and those cards are like bulkity bulk bulk bulk.
yeah. I bought a bunch as well.
And yeah, there's just so many
Yeah,
that if you like this art style, they are going to be cheap,
yep,
and they're probably going to bring down the other versions of the cards as well because now you have more choices
yep.
and there's going to be lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
So these are probably not a good spec if that's like what you're if that's what you're like thinking. Like these are probably not a good place to like park your money.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is a thing.
A place to park your money?
Yeah,
Yes.
such a thing as specking anymore. At least not in the manner that we used to be able to do it.
No, no, not at all.
I mean, we used to have a contest when a new set came out. There
Yeah,
was like 5 or 6 of us that would pick a card under $2 that was pre-selling under $2, and like buy 10 or 20 of them, and then
and
like whoever did the best like won our contest or whatever.
yeah,
And I don't know how you could even remotely do that anymore. Like
no,
everything is different now.
no. I do love the fact that they just keep going back to anime art. They're like, is the magic player and weeb circles, are they, is it just a concentric circle? They're just like, we think we cracked it.
I think it's very close to.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like
They're
every
like,
time they do it, like people go crazy about it. I mean, it's not
yeah,
like super my thing, but
no. I do enjoy that, like, for whatever reason, Smothering Tithe is just a cat girl. They're just like, cat girl? Does it have anything to do with smothering?
no.
Some weeb's like, she can smother me. It's like, calm down, weeb. Calm down. Uh, so yeah, but I don't know. Hopefully they don't like ruin limited. I know a lot of people really like them, but uh, for what they do to limited, but they get on my nerves sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Uh,
it tough.
all right, so up next is we have role tokens. Role ROLE.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird one. This is the first actual mechanic that we're going to talk about. It's also, I think, the biggest departure from like a normal mechanic, where
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the mechanics in this set we kind of know how they tick, but this role thing is kind of strange. So a role is a token that is an aura. So it's always going to be an enchant. I think they're all enchant creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a token aura that you're going to put onto a creature when something tells you to. There's 7 different kinds of roles. One of them is only in the commander product. So there's 6 in the base set and then 1 in the commander product for a total of 7. Um, and when you're told to put a roll on something, you don't get to pick which roll. It's going to tell you what kind of roll.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to run through these different kinds of rolls real quick?
I'm very proud of us that we made it this far without saying "Know your role, jabroni."
Know your roll.
Yeah. So some of these are beneficial. Some of these are negative. Most of them are beneficial, I do believe.
Yeah.
So you've got the monster role. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has trample.
Mm-hmm.
You have the sorcerer role. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has, whenever this creature attacks, scry 1. Then you have the wicked role. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and when this aura goes to the graveyard, from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is important to note that tokens go to the graveyard, and then evaporate.
Right.
So like they get the dies trigger, but then don't end up in the graveyard.
Yeah. It's also weird that they included from the battlefield though, because a token can't exist anywhere but on the battlefield.
Yet.
Yeah, sure. Mara says, "Hold my beer."
My beer. Uh, spells copied this way become tokens of the spell. Then you have the cursed roll. This is the bad one.
Yeah.
Uh, enchanted creature has base power and toughness 1/1. And then you have enchant creature. You have the royal roll. I'm sorry. Enchant creature again. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has ward 1.
Hmm.
And then you have young hero. Enchant creature. When enchanted creature has whatever this creature attacks, if its toughness or is 3 or less, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it.
Hmm.
And then from the commander product, you have the virtuous roll, which is enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control.
Yep.
And I'm pretty that is the commander one, right?
Yeah, that is a commander.
Yeah, it has a different set symbol.
Yep.
So I think this is one of those cases, much like they did with battles, where we had battle siege,
Hmm.
and they're like, we could do other battle types. These are all aura roll,
Hmm.
and then they say enchant creature, so they could very easily do this again with like enchant land, right? Because things that enchant lands are auras.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't know
they
how.
call it a roll though.
Yeah, I don't know how they could do it in terms of flavor,
Yeah.
but in terms of mechanic, it feels like they left themselves an opening.
Yeah.
I'm Well, when they go do the Beauty and Beast crossover, which will be harder now that Lacrana's a thing, like you can have like a roll on your teapot or something.
Sure.
Enchant candlestick. So these are all almost all positive. Like they kind of read like a lot of these are like ability counter ++1/+1 counter.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean they could definitely come up with new roles, and
yeah.
that might actually be kind of a cool idea for. I don't know if we're ever going to do another D&D set. Not that like I'm super thrilled with crossovers, but that might be a cool idea for a D&D set.
Oh yeah, you could do rolls for that.
Yeah, kind of like they did with the classes.
Hmm. And so these are so they're like I said, they're kind of like counters. Um, the set does have a mechanic that lets you kind of eat these.
Hmm.
A lot of these feel like not super priced in.
Yeah,
They aren't quite as free as Decay Zombies,
right.
but like I don't know if they're fully paid for in mana costs.
I mean, you can kind of think of them like a decayed zombie though, because a lot of times the decayed zombies were more useful for being another game
Food.
object than they were for being a 2/2 zombie that's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
And
you wanted them for something else.
I think a lot of these, I mean, there's certainly circumstances where like a young hero or a royal role are going to be very good, especially in limited.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I think these are just a piece of cardboard for you to sacrifice to something.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out that you can only have one roll at a time
On a creature. You can
on
have
a
multiple
creatures.
rolls on different creatures.
Yes, but like if
Yeah,
you have a single creature, it can't have multiple rolls.
right. Um,
So
yeah, it's actually I think it's part of the rules of the roll. I don't know if it's on the card or not, but
it's on some of them.
if a creature has more than one roll, you don't get to pick either. You keep the newest, and then the rest go into the graveyard.
Yeah, so like I don't know if you've seen Spiteful Hexmage. It's black for a 3/2. When Spiteful Hexmage enters the battlefield, create a cursed roll token, attach it to target creature you control.
Mhm.
So if you play this on turn 1, it's a 1/1. But it says under it, if you control another role on it, put that one into the graveyard. Enchanted creature is 1/1.
That's also kind of weird that you don't sacrifice it, right? You
You
just
put it
put it
into the
into the
graveyard.
graveyard.
That is weird. Would it be like too good with like Mayhem Devil?
I wasn't thinking that, but like it might cause a rules issue with like Yasharn or something where you can't sacrifice.
Oh, maybe. Maybe so they're just like, yeah, this has to go away so we don't get like 2.
Yeah, we're just gonna make it go away instead of make you sacrifice it.
Yeah. But like they have like some like interesting like pre-built like curves.
Mm-hmm.
So Spiteful Hex Mage is, on turn 1 as a 1-mana 1/1. Well, on turn 2 you can play Lord Skitter's Blessing, 1 in the black for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a Wicked Roll token. Oh wait, never mind, it's a Wicked Roll.
Wicked still
Wait, no,
plus
that's
one
right.
plus one, yeah.
Yeah, so what does this one do? This is Cursed Roll. Okay. Cursed Roll, and then Wicked Roll is a good one.
Yeah.
So then you're like, now my Hex Mage is a 4/3. And now I get to bash.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of have like they have a few things set up like that where you could like in constructed, kind of build a curve where you're like play this thing that is like above rate,
Mm-hmm.
but get shrunk down,
Yeah.
and then have a way to put another roll on it.
Yeah.
So there's a couple creatures that are above rate but get the cursed roll put on them. I, for some reason, I know why, but confused cursed roll and wicked roll. Because in my head, cursed is bad and wicked is bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, they're both bad. So like, and so when I saw like wicked roll, I was like, oh, that must be the make it small one because that's the bad roll. And it's like, nope, not the bad roll. No,
that's
no.
cursed.
That's cursed. So yeah, I think that thinking of them as like more pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
I also wonder, like, I don't think there's anything here, but like, if you're playing like an Enchantress deck, like you could play not enchantments. That like you could play creatures that like generate rolls.
Well, so it depends on which enchantresses you're running, though, because
Yeah, if
some
it's
of the
on
enchantresses,
cast.
they trigger on cast, not on ETB.
Yeah. But like that's something to think about is like if your Enchantress is on like ETB, then you can just play creatures that put rolls on things.
Mm-hmm. Or flicker creatures that put rolls on things.
Yeah. So, and like I said, there is a mechanic that uses this. What is this mechanic, or can use these as food?
It's called Bargain. This is basically a spell that has kicker, sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as an additional cost. So it's
excellent.
It's just kicker, sacrifice a thing. You choose. Oh god.
It's very specifically like non-creature, non-land.
Well, unless it's a token creature or token land.
Unless it's a token creature, but like it's artifact, enchantment, token. Like they skip over a creature.
Yeah. Well, because that'd be slave trade.
I guess. But I always think like, oh, I could just like sack a creature. This is like, well, no, it's specifically not creature.
Yep.
So, and I always think it should be creature, but it's just me.
Yeah.
Meh.
So Bargain, you select as you're casting it, before your opponent has a chance to do anything, before you even pay costs. That's important because some of I think a lot of these, right, are cost reducers.
I don't think they're cost reducers, but they're like cost. They like modify the spell. Like it is kind of almost exactly like kicker, where it's like
I think a bunch of them are cost reducers.
Oh, okay. Like I was looking at like Beseech the Mirror.
Okay.
Which is it's always 4 mana, but if you bargain it, you get to cast the spell, and then where's another bargain thing? That's the one I
I
just
thought there
like.
was a bunch of them that were like the spell cost 2 less if it was bargained.
Oh, I don't. So here's Farsight Ritual,
Hmm.
uh, Bad Memory Deluge, 2 blue. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. This spell was bargain. Look at the top 8 cards of your library instead.
Yeah.
Put 2 into your hand. So I may have missed some that like reduce the cost, but there are a lot that are like you get the spell or you get the spell better.
So ice out, 1 blue,
Oh, that's yeah.
bargain. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it's bargained.
It is the classic 3-mana counter spell with sit mechanic.
Yeah,
And hey, can we make the sit mechanic make it counter spell?
sure. Also, Johann Stopgap, 3 and a blue. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it's bargained.
Okay.
Bounce a thing, draw a card. I think there's more too.
Okay. I remember an ice out. I did not look at good old Johan.
Good old Johann.
Fleur. Yeah. So it is just kicker.
Yep.
Um
It's kind of cool though. It lets you sacrifice things, lets you sacrifice your rolls that are basically free cardboard.
yeah, your rolls, any food that you get,
Yep.
gets to go away.
Yep.
So like that's good. It just gives you something to do with them.
I don't know if it super matters, but one of the things that we like to keep an eye out for when we're going through a set is colors getting to do things that they don't normally get to do. Blue typically doesn't sacrifice things. White typically doesn't sacrifice things.
Good point.
I don't know if that's super relevant or not, but a thing to keep an eye out for in case you're looking for a sacrifice outlet in blue or white or green. Green doesn't sacrifice things. Sometimes I guess natural order does.
Yeah, not a ton.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is an interesting thing that they're trying to like really kind of like shoehorn you to be like sacrifice your food tokens and these enchantment tokens, please.
Yeah.
Don't do anything too bad. Just food tokens and enchantment tokens.
Well, let's talk about that real quick because for some reason, food, I guess because it's evergreen now, food wasn't in the mechanics list here. So let's remind people what food are real quick.
Food are mostly artifact tokens.
Mostly.
That will sacrifice for 2 mana, and I do believe 2 mana and tap.
Yep.
And sacrificing them, and you gain 3 life. There are a few creatures that are cookies or cookie adjacent
there's
things.
There's a couple artifacts that are cookies also too, right?
Yeah, well, there's Tough Cookie. He's an artifact creature, food golem.
Isn't there like just an artifact that's a food also, I think?
Maybe. I mean, there's our Ginger Brute.
Ginger Brute.
And then like the Sir stab you in the eye.
Yeah.
Sir something Ender of the Meal Ender. Sir Ginger.
Sir Ginger.
Yeah. So for the most part, they are tokens that are typically tacked on to something.
Yep.
And as we have found since Eldraine, just making random pieces of cardboard has value.
It's a good business decision.
Yes, is to make bits and pieces of things.
Yep.
But yeah, food can extend a game. Food can end a game if you're tapping it for blue mana with Urza, or sacrificing it to Mayhem around Mayhem Devils and stuff. So there's a lot you can do with
Draw your cards with Trail of Crumbs.
Oh yeah. I will say that it doesn't seem like they have gone as hard on the food synergies, but
Probably
tomorrow could just be food day.
Well, also because I guess it's not evergreen, but it's deciduous now. Like they just randomly throw food in sets now.
Oh yeah, I mean we did just come off of like Lord of the Rings, the Crunch and Munch, where it was just a ton of food.
Second breakfast.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so I could see where they like just want to like do food lighter here since they just like bashed you over the head with food the previous set.
Yep. Is in the set
So
though, so
is in the set.
yep.
Um, and then we have it's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
Charlie Murphy.
I don't know what we're celebrating, but here we are. Celebration is an ability on cards that cares if 2 or more non-land permanents entered the battlefield this turn. So we just got done talking about roll tokens and food tokens. Those are, in fact, non-land permanents. And when you make them,
like,
they enter the battlefield.
And again, there are a lot of creatures that have them stapled onto them.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, if we are whatever spiteful guy, our 1 mana 3/2.
Yep.
That puts 2 permanents onto the battlefield.
For 1 mana.
For 1 mana. Thus triggering your celebration.
Yep.
Yeah.
So celebration's a little bit weird. Because of rules things, not because it's not intuitive. Like, I mean, obviously if 2 things enter the battlefield, like, you know what that is, but celebration doesn't care if the things are still there, so they can enter the battlefield and leave. Like in, I don't remember what deck that was. Was it the Fecundity deck that would like play 0 mana Hangerback Walkers just to cast creature spells that went right to the graveyard? That is a thing that enters the battlefield and leaves. If you cycle a Shark Typhoon for X equals 0, it makes a 0/0 that enters the battlefield and then dies. So just some weird corner cases there. Anything that enters the battlefield counts for this. It also doesn't matter who controls the permanents. So you could control both permanents that entered the battlefield. Your opponent could control both permanents that entered the battlefield, or you could each control a permanent that entered the battlefield. Celebration doesn't care. As long as 2 things entered the battlefield that weren't lands, it's good.
Okay.
It also doesn't matter if they're then turned into lands.
Okay.
Just that they weren't lands when they entered the battlefield.
Gotcha. I had not realized it didn't matter if you controlled the permanents.
Yep.
So, this screams like, hello, I'm the limited mechanic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not doing you're not doing constructive things with me.
Probably not.
But like it seems like in modern Magic where you're just trying to put things on the battlefield a lot of times.
Yep.
Like rewarding you for putting things on the battlefield and like I don't know, maybe a third of the cards in the set
Make
like,
a thing.
Like make 2 things.
Yeah.
With all the rogue creatures, all the things that also make a food and stuff like that. There's just a ton of things that like, hey, I'm making a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Or a bunch of things. So the celebration should be relatively easy to trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just looking through right now. It looks like it's currently only in red and white, so I'm assuming it's an aggro mechanic that cares about going wide.
Yes. I'm sure there's like gonna be some version of like raise the alarm or forbidden friendship.
Yeah.
Whereas like make 2 nerds, trigger celebration, get in there.
Yeah.
And then we have what you came for, folks.
We're going on an adventure.
So as we apparently talked about last week, these are cards that have a mana cost in the upper right hand corner of the card, just like a normal card would.
Yep.
But then they have a smaller like text box in the bottom left hand corner that is an instant or sorcery.
Yes.
That if you cast it is an adventure, if you cast the card for its adventure cost, you put it into exile.
When it
There's actually
resolves.
when it resolves, there's actually a little token
Yep.
that's like on an
On
adventure,
an adventure.
and then you can cast the card for its up top right hand casting cost, and then get that part of the card.
Yeah.
You can also just cast the card for its top right hand casting cost.
Mm-hmm.
So again, a card we've talked about a little bit, Bone Crusher Giant, has uh is a 2 and a red for a 4/3 giant with upside.
Yep.
And then its adventure is Stomp for 1 and a red, instant, deal 2, damage can't be prevented. So you can play Stomp and kill something, then play the Bone Crusher, or just play the Bone Crusher directly.
Mm-hmm. Or just play the Stomp and let your Bone Crusher sit there and stare at your opponent so that they know as soon as they 1-for-1 run you out of cards, you still have a Bone Crusher Giant to kill them with.
Yeah. So we mentioned this, I think mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast here. These cards, if one of the two sides is at rate,
Yeah.
the cards are good.
Yeah.
If both sides are at rate, the cards are busted.
Yeah. I think it might actually be interesting if you guys that haven't been around for a super long time go back and listen to our Throne of Eldraine set review episode where we talked about adventures, because I think we pretty much nailed them. They played out basically just as we thought they would. They can be compared kind of to a split card because there's 2 spells on one card, except one you get kind of on a layaway program. Or you can kind of count them as whatever the front half of the spell is, draw the second half of the card.
Yeah, like how many cards are made infinitely better with draw a C- creature attached to it?
Right.
Like
All
most of them.
Yeah.
All of them, exactly. Any of the adventures that are like my spell side is at rate.
Yep.
It kind of doesn't matter what the creature is,
Mm-hmm.
because if you want the spell, you're getting the creature for free.
Yeah.
These
I just saw one that I kind of want to mention quick.
Okay.
When I was looking through the card image gallery here, there is Two-Headed Hunter. Have you seen this?
I don't.
All right.
Oh, is this the blue one?
No. So the adventure is 1 and a red, twice the rage, instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Mm-hmm. So it's Temur Battle Rage.
Kinda, yeah.
And then it also draws you a 5-mana 5/4 menace. That, I mean, obviously is just, limited fodder, whatever. But if you just get Temur Battle Rage on the front end, which is a playable Magic card, and then the back end is probably not going to matter for a while, but it's a 5/4 menace that gets to stare at your opponent for the rest of the game with threatening to be cast. That makes it pretty good.
Yeah, like it's so like that one is one that is like is pretty much at rate. So like Assault Strobe is like red for a sorcery, give a creature double strike.
Yeah.
And then there's like I think there's like a red-white hybrid one.
Okay.
That gives you like it's 1 red-white hybrid for give a creature double strike. Like this is basically on rate for that.
Yeah.
And then you don't care. Like you're like, oh man, this 5/4 is bad. Yes, but it's free.
Right. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, how many of us have paid 3 mana to put a Gigantha in our hand, and like a 5 mana 5/5 effectively no text?
Right.
Is bad. But when you get it for free, you will pause and build your deck in a way to perhaps give you Gigantha.
Yeah, seriously, a sideboard slot is probably worth significantly more as a deck building cost than like having your Temur Battle Rage draw you a card, even if it's a bad card.
And also, like, can't get to rest because it is
A
a
creature.
creature.
Right.
And if you have tutors that search up creatures but not instants and sorceries,
Mm-hmm.
you can search this up and get the sorcery.
Correct.
Um, yeah, these are all better than you think they are.
Yep.
Even oh god, what was the like? There was one that was like a 4 mana like mind rot that then was like a 6 mana like X star with like however many cards you were in your opponent's hand or something.
No, I don't see that one.
Remember that card? No, it's from Throat of Eldraine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Knight of something or other.
yeah. Like the card is like objectively bad, but like still saw some standard play because like
Right.
a 4 mana mind rot is fine when it's stapled to your finisher.
Right.
Just like Beanstalk Giant.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, your 3 mana so like worse than Cultivate ramp spell is fine when it's also stapled to your finisher.
Right.
I think they did a better job of not just like putting A plus B together on the same card,
Mm-hmm.
but there's some that they kind of did.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that this mechanic is hard to balance,
Yes,
and it
definitely.
feels like I feel like there are some that they may have missed on in this set. I think we talked about it in the last pre-show, but like questing druid, one in the red for so the adventure is one in the red for an instant. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next end step. Oh, until your next end step, you may play those cards. So it's just Ren's Resolve and oh, was it Reckless Impulse?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an instant instead of a sorcery, and it's stapled to Questing Druid, one in the red, 1/1. Whenever you cast a spell that is white, blue, black, or red, put a +1/+1 counter on Questing Druid. So if you want Ren's Resolve, this is a better Ren's Resolve because it's an instant.
Yep. And it also
And it,
draws you a Query and Dryad.
yeah, and like it's fine. Like that card
Yep.
is that the Questing Dryad is free. It is
Yep.
100% free
Mm-hmm.
on your Ren's Resolve. So, um, yeah, don't sleep on these. We've been talking about creatures, but they do have a cycle of enchantments
Mm-hmm.
that also have adventures. So the virtue cycle.
Yeah.
So these again they're all pretty cheap. Um
The adventure sides.
Adventure sides are all pretty cheap, and then the virtue side is more expensive.
Yeah.
But right, like
I guess we don't
virtue
have the
of
green one yet.
no, or the red one.
Oh, the red ones. Oh, yeah, the red one's not there.
Yeah, it's a dragon instead.
Yep.
Uh, but like the virtue of persistence, um, right? Its adventure is Lockthwain Scorn, one of the black for a sorcery. Target creature gets -3, -3, and you gain 2 life. It not being an instant, sure, kind of sucks, but that's like a reasonable removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just kind of stapled to it's stapled to it's like 7 mana, probably win the game.
Oh, for sure.
At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control.
Yeah.
So like its adventure side is helping you get to 7 mana.
Right.
So yeah, like it'll be interesting to see what the green and the red ones are.
Yeah.
But they're all better than you think because they're all stapled to no matter how bad the card is, they all say draw a card.
This white one seems pretty good.
A 2/2 that draws you kind of a weird anthem.
Well, I mean, it's better than an anthem. It anthems your team every turn and untaps them.
It's kind of like the oh gosh, Invasion of Gobakhan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like the light shield array.
Yeah.
When you flip it, you get whenever your creatures have attacked, you get a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is like a 2-mana 2/2 is fine. Right, nothing to write home about, but
Yep. It's a
fine.
bear.
But again, that 2-mana 2/2 draws you the virtue of loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you have to think about all of these adventure cards is the effect draws me the other card.
Right.
And so that is the thing that you have to always keep in mind and don't get hung up on like, well, the rate on this isn't great. It's like
Doesn't
the
matter.
rate, yeah, the rate on this like 2 mana for 2 damage is below rate, but then the Bone Crusher Giant was kind of above rate.
Yeah.
You know, the you know, but then when you get like the quest druid where it's like, oh, this both halves are basically on rate. Like this card has to be good.
Yeah, and like Brazen Borrower. Like both
Right,
halves of
exactly.
Brazen Borrower are on rate, and the card sees eternal format play.
Yes. So even when like one side isn't on rate, they're still usually pretty good. Particularly if the spell's on rate.
Yeah.
Right. Then you can just like at some later point in the game be like, oh, I guess I flooded out. I'll play like your example, my bad 5-mana 5/4.
Right.
That I otherwise wouldn't have had. So yeah. So just keep that in mind. I'm just waiting on like the next time we come back and we have like adventure lands.
Oh man, that would be
I'm
sick.
a spell, and I'm also a land that you can play later.
Can never make you discard it.
Never. Just like here we go.
Yep. Oops.
Oh, they make like a 1 mana like discard a card that has like discard like laundry list or card with adventure.
Yeah.
Just like we can't have this.
It's called Despise Adventure.
Yeah.
It's Despise
yeah.
and then hits Adventures.
There you go. I guess another like limited mechanic, it's not really like listed, is like rat tokens.
Yeah, there's a lot of rat tokens. That might be more of a theme.
Yeah, I guess not a mechanic, but yeah, a theme. There's a lot of rats running around.
Yeah, lots of rats.
They
don't block.
Is a 1 mana 1/1, or sorry, is a 1/1 token that can't block worse than a 2/2 token that if it blocks it instantly dies?
I don't know.
Yeah, like I think they're somewhere around Decayed Zombies in value.
Well,
but
I mean, you get 2 of them. Like a lot of them don't just make 1 rat; they make 2 rats, don't they?
Yeah, but I was saying like they're around like a decay zombie in value. But like we said earlier, there's a lot of ways to feed tokens to other things. So just like decayed zombies were kind of free, these might also be a little bit. These seem a little bit free.
Yeah, not quite priced in.
Yeah, quite priced in the same way.
Maybe I made that up. I guess they don't make 2.
Yeah. Like, do you remember like, oh god, was it fungal infection?
Yeah. That card was great.
They made one, but the token can't block. It's like infinitely worse.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh man. So fungal infection was 1 mana, was black for instant, give a creature -1/-1, make a 1/1 fungus. So it was just like eat any 2 toughness creature for 1 mana in combat.
Yeah.
And then they made the rat version, but the token can't block. So it's like
that is
way worse.
That card was kind of busted and limited though, so it's kind of good that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like when you figure it out before everyone else that the card was busted and limited, you just got to get them and just like you can't attack with your X2 because I have 1 mana up.
Right.
Do you want me to eat your 4-drop with 1 mana? Okay, you're not attacking. I didn't have it, but
Right.
yeah, you couldn't attack.
My bluff gained me 3 life.
Yeah, exactly. My bluff. You're 3/2. No, can't get in here.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that like the set does kind of what we thought it would. I thought there'd be more food, but again, we get like food more often now.
We're also not all the way through the set. There might be more
This is
food.
true. Yeah, it could, like I said, it could be food day. Um,
And I mean,
but
usually like the last day of spoilers, which I'm assuming is Thursday. Normally that's when they dump all the limited chaff. So
yeah, I think it's supposed to be done on Friday, but maybe it's Thursday.
I don't know.
But it seems like a lot of cards to like there's 63 cards. Like there's not many more cards that they can like
That's true.
release the next 3 days. I guess like 10 cards a day, then you dump 30 on the last day.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah, because today had, gosh, 2, 4. Why am I counting like this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Today had 18 cards.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that we'll slow down over the next few days.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess then we get all the commander cards too.
Oh yeah, we do have the commander cards. That book is closed, right? Like the Wilds of Eldraine, the set symbol is an open book.
Oh, I don't know. Is that what it is?
The commander is like more closed. Like if you
book?
look at the rolls, if you look at the one that comes from the commander product,
Yeah.
the
book is closed.
Notice how the set symbol is more like a closed book.
Where are you looking?
Top
Are you on Mythic
left.
Spoiler?
Oh, on Mythic Spoiler, if you look at Virtuous Roll, if you look at the set symbol, that book is more like kind of held up and like partially closed, as opposed to the Woe one where it's like laid flat and more open.
I gotta get there. Hang on. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the spoilers for the rest of the week, if you see an open book, commander product. If you see an open book, standard product.
Yeah.
If you see a closed book, commander product. So just don't do what I just did, and don't get and then don't mix them up and then be like, oh my god, this adventure is busted. And it's like, well, you can only play it in Legacy. Is it Legacy busted? Probably not.
Yeah. So that's all the mechanics. We have a few minutes left.
Okay.
I know we talked in the pre-show last week about adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we talked a little bit about them in the show, but I don't think we talked about the same things in the pre-show and the show.
Okay.
Did you want to give the rest of the listeners kind of a sneak peek about what we were talking about?
Oh, we can. So if I'm thinking about the right thing here, I got excited about the prospects of kind of building a, let's say, pioneer explorer-y.
That is what I was referring to.
Adventure deck.
Yep.
So I was trying to look for adventure cards that might be worth speccing on from Throne. The problem is like Brazen Borrower is $10.
Yeah.
And then Bone Crusher Giant is like $1.
Yeah.
But there's like multiple printings of Bone Crusher Giant. So like I bought some uncommons. I bought Lucky Clover and Edgewall Innkeeper. But more importantly, if you look at a lot of these adventure cards, a lot of them are Teamer.
Yes. Which was the adventure deck prior.
And like there are cards like what is her name? Our Cookie Goddess.
Tough Cookie?
Baluna Grandswell.
Our giant
cookie goddess.
Yeah.
That like are really paying you off hard on the adventure side for playing a bunch of adventures, and it's just like a generically good like creature as well.
Yeah. So like if you remember what the Teamer Adventure decks used to be, um it was just all of the adventure cards and then either Escape the Wilds or what was the other one they played?
The were you thinking about the Fae, the wishes thing?
No, there was the card from Ikoria. The Teamer,
Genesis Ultimatum.
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. As a way to kind of like refill, go over the top. And Balloona Grand Squall serves that role as the adventure. It's a 2 and then Teamer. Mill 7 cards, then put all cards that have an adventure from among the milled cards into your hand. So it refills after you've put all of your guys on an adventure. And then if you cast it for just Teamer, red, blue, green, it's a 4/4 with trample that makes all of your permanents that have an adventure on them cost less. So
Yeah,
it's
so
refills your hand, lets you go over the top, and then also makes all your adventures cheaper.
and they also played like Fae of Wishes,
Yeah.
which was like backbreaking with a uh oh gosh, a Lucky Clover out. It's just another way to go like big.
Yeah, super big.
Um and they had oh gosh. Uh I just said his name
Beanstalk
Beanstalk
Giant.
Giant
Yeah.
as like a curve of like Lucky Clover into Beanstalk Giant, get 2 lands, puts you super far ahead
Mm-hmm.
mana wise, and then you're able to do these like bigger high mana plays. So like the our Balloona is kind of doing Fae of Wishes, Genesis Ultimatum,
Yeah.
Escape to the Wilds kind of things, like letting you go big. And like as long as your like removal or tempo plays, as long as they line up in any way that is like beneficial,
Right.
you like are just like 2 for winning your opponent all the time. Even like the bounce spells, you're like tempo positive and you're up a card.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you get to double it.
Yeah. Especially if you like Lucky Clover get to double it. And there's like so there's Brazen Borrower, and then there's a new one that has not officially been previewed that is like 1 in a blue sorcery, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
It's official. Scalding Viper.
Oh, Scouting Viper's official.
Yep.
Okay. Um, and then I guess I don't know if it's a 2/2 or a 2/1.
It's a 2/1 on the creature side. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, Scalding Viper deals 1 damage to that player.
And it's 2 mana.
Yeah, 1 in a
So like, yeah. So right, you've got 8 creatures that also have a bounce spell attached to them. So like your opponent really can't ever get their feet under them because you're just like, okay, bounce your thing.
Yep.
Or again, God help them, you're like Lucky Clover let you play 2 things, bounce them both.
Yep.
It's been a good game. Everyone played hard. Um, and then so you have that. There's this uncommon that might actually be decent. I can find it. Frolicking Familiar.
Yeah, I thought
It's
that one looked good.
2 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. So like whatever,
Nearly prowess.
nearly prowlers. But it also has blow off steam. Red deals 1 damage to any target. I mean, how many times have you like had a mana dork hit by Spike Field Hazard,
Yep.
or kind of any other number of things hit by Spike Field Hazard?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a Spike Field Hazard that is also its fail cases 2/2 fly is Windrake
Windrake with upside.
with upside. Um,
At
and
uncommon, that's kind of wild.
then I've already mentioned it a few times. Questing Druid.
Yep.
It's a 3 for 1 if you get to use all the cards.
Yes.
Like that's absurd.
Yep.
And again with Lucky Clover, like it's basically Escape to the Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty good. So there's a lot of pieces here for like a deck that like maybe it still has the go over the top aspects, but it also might just be this like kind of like super obnoxious like tempo deck where you're just bouncing your opponent's things, playing stuff out, getting card advantage with Edgewall Innkeeper, um, getting all this card advantage, but kind of like being a little more small ball.
Mhm.
And then like eventually you're just like, okay, fine, play my adventure that draws 5 cards,
Yeah.
and okay, now the game's done. So it seems interesting, and like again, like I'm sure something will come together for Pioneer, but like how long will it be good?
Yeah.
Right? If like every other color gets like, a Shieldred once a year, and you're just like, come on, baby, let's go back to Eldraine. Maybe the Kithkin are feeling adventurous this time.
Well,
Please.
well, I mean, you got to think outside the box a little bit.
Hmm.
Eventually, I imagine we're going to have a set that cares about casting things from exile,
Uh-huh.
which
I,
would fit into this.
I mean, there is an argument that you could be Jeskai
Mhm.
or Naya to play Pia
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
to play oh gosh, Giant Killer,
Yep.
right? Where you could, you know, I don't know if the mana is good enough to be 4 color, but like Pia rewards you for playing stuff from exile,
Mhm.
and you're gonna play a lot of stuff from exile.
Yes.
And like the Pia decks, I almost feel like Questing Druid just goes in them
Yeah, I think so.
because you're like, I want more Ren's Resolves,
Right.
and I put a little bit of green in my deck. Now I get Ren's Resolve plus like a friend,
Yep.
or I don't care about the friend really. I just want more Ren's Resolves
At instant speed.
at instant speed. So yeah, I think that there is probably going to be a Pioneer deck,
Mhm.
and I think that people are first going to try to build like the big mana version. And then you may get to the point where it is more of like a tempo
Tempo
thing or
based.
some like, yeah, like, or some like mush in between,
Yeah.
because like so many of these are cheap.
Yes.
And there's also, I think I mentioned on the pre-show, where is he at? Because you called this one out. Horn Lock Whale.
Mhm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
4 blue for a 6/6 flash ward 2. And if it enters the battlefield, tapped unless it's your turn, so like you don't get to eat something with your 6/6 flash. But it also has an adventure for 1 in the blue that's an instant. The owner of target attacking creature you don't control puts it on top or bottom of their library. So you could very easily have a deck that just has like 25 2 drops
Mhm.
that are all stapled to creatures of other casting costs,
Yeah.
right? And like your opponent just like, if they attack you on 2, you can be like fine, or on turn 3 or whatever, you're like fine, I'll bounce your 3 drop, or I guess I'll bounce that thing with my like 6/6
Yeah.
that I'll
Well, I
play
mean,
later
it's
and beat you with.
this is better than bounce though because it goes
Oh
to their
yeah,
library. Like if they
yeah. So
want it,
like
they have to draw it again.
I'll time walk you
Yeah.
or memory lapse you kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, so like you have that, you have Scalding Viper, you have Bone Crusher, you have Brazen Borrower. Yes, are you choked on 2s? You are, but you also aren't.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have a lot of things you just feel like, all right, like I guess I'll stomp your face and then play my 3 drop.
Mhm.
Or I'll bounce anything, then play my Brazen Borrower.
Right.
Or I'll bounce anything, hold up my Brazen Borrower, and then do it again next turn.
Yeah.
Right? Until I can like find my Edgewall Innkeeper and then like play my Brazen Borrower and draw a card. So like there's probably something here. Um that's why I was saying like maybe there's like a tempo deck because you have effectively 12 like bounce spells.
Mm-hmm.
And so like your opponent just never gets to get like footing
Right.
in the game. And then something like Frolicking Familiar gives you something to do on one with the like deal 1 damage mode.
Yeah. Kill your dork. Kill whatever.
Yeah. And then it's just like a reasonable beater like late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we shouldn't forget like Love Struck Beast is like another thing to do on
Oh, for
one.
sure.
Right? Like you just have this like basically if you look at all the rare adventure cards, they were all like super playable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we don't know what the blue or sorry, the red or like green virtue is. Like they
Right.
could be really good as well.
And
Like
I mean,
they're
likely they have to do with adventures because they're in the adventure colors. At least one of them.
Mhm. Yeah, like I feel like they all are like related uh
Oh, to the castles.
to the castle. So like Virtue of
Yeah,
Loyalty is like
that's true.
Circle of Loyalty,
Yeah,
where it cares about creatures. And the blue one was like the mirror
yeah.
that like did something weird with spells. And then Virtue of Persistence is like the
Cauldron.
the cauldron that brought stuff back. So like
Yeah.
maybe the red one, like but we've already done Give Double Strike. So I don't know what it would be like because it's like Ember Cleave. And then like the green one could like draw you cards when your creature comes into play.
Yeah.
But like if that's cheap enough, like that's like fine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because all of your spells are also creatures that you can use to like fuel back up later.
Oh, yeah. The front side is just what you call it?
Oh, the green one?
Yeah.
Oh, is it already done?
No, no, but it's just going to be glimpse.
Oh, that would be interesting. Like
Yeah.
2 mana glimpse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would be good. So yeah, like there might be a deck here, and I think it's at least worth like exploring and explore.
Ooh, I see what you did.
Oh
Or
yeah,
pioneer.
or Pioneer.
Yeah.
I mean, but just like in terms of like
Yeah.
doing something, and like we haven't even talked about like the Raccoon Boy,
Yeah.
the 2 mana dork that late in the game you get to pick up and then cast Turn Timber Symbiosis.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or you just rip it in the late game when you cast Turn Timber Symbiosis, and you just find something like you like cast it and you find your horned whatever lock guy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that is the thing I am most interested in coming into this set is how do the adventures like does an adventure deck come together? Uh Also, one more thing. Storm Elk.
Storm elk.
3 and a green for an elemental elk.
Okay.
Trample for a 3/4. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on Storm Elk. Peer through clouds, 1 in the blue, adventure, instant. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards.
Oh.
Right, like we've gotten like I know like the blue white one, Faithful Mending,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like this is just like rate for that.
Right.
And you don't care if it's stapled to a bad creature.
Yep.
It's literally just rate for draw 2, discard 2. Modern rate. We don't get Faithless Looting or Careful Study anymore.
Right.
But this is kind of rate for that now.
What was that called?
A Storm Elk, it's in Japanese or Korean or something.
Oh, okay.
It's in Chinese. I will go with Chinese final answer.
Okay.
Uh on Mythic Spoiler. But like
Oh,
it's just like
spoiler.
oh sorry. But it's but it's kind of on it's on rate on the one half and the other half is like whatever. But like it also like gives you more creatures if like you're desperate to reanimate something and you're like, oh man, all I have is a stupid Storm Elk.
Yeah.
Or like you flood out, like you usually don't get to have your discard outlet also be like a safety valve of like, I guess I get to use my mana.
Yeah.
So
Safety valve is block.
Yeah, the safety valve is please let me get to the next turn so I can Atraxa.
Yeah.
Like, I need one more turn to draw my reanimation spell. You're in, Elky. Let's
Tag, you're
go.
it.
All right. So with all this adventure talk, I think we have a show.
I think we have a show.
So next week, I think we're gonna do set review.
Yeah, provided the set's out, it should be. So yeah,
Yes.
next week is set review.
Um, if you have any cards that you're excited to hear about, you want us to talk about, please get at us on all the social medias: Facebook, Discord, X,
X.
uh, X. You can email us.
Yep.
Please reach out and say hey, and
Yeah.
be like, hey, we think this card. I think this card's good. Talk
Yeah.
to me.
Let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll talk about it. If you're looking to support the show, a couple ways you can do it. First is our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Type that link into your web browser of choice, surf on over to TCG player, buy whatever you're going to buy, and you'll be supporting the show at the same time. Doesn't cost you anything extra, and you'll be helping us out. We would really appreciate it. The other way you can support us is directly patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Patrons get access to our show notes. They get access to our pre-show. So you get another hour of us every week. And you get put on my mailing list for when I have swag for you guys. If any of that sounds good, or you just want to show your support, or you really like the show and you just want to give back to us, any of those are valid reasons. Any reason's valid, I guess, to sign up for Patreon.
Yeah.
Head on over there, chip a couple bucks in, however much you feel like we're worth, and we'll hook you up. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. So with that, we'll catch you on the internets.
We'll catch you on the internets.